Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. This is going to be a highly requested review video of the recently dropped trailer for Lovecraft Country, which is a new dark sci-fi series coming out of HBO. I'm not sure if this is going to be a limited run series similar to Watchmen, but I do know that this first season has 10 episodes. It's starring Jurnee Smollett, who I newly love, and Jonathan Majors, who I've loved for a really long time. Those of you that have seen my reviews for both Captive State as well as The Last Black Man in San Francisco, you guys know that I love Jonathan Majors, so I'm really excited to see both of them as the sort of starring leads of Lovecraft Country, and I was really excited to see this trailer drop and that so many of you watched it and wanted to hear a review for it. So for any of you that don't know, I'm looking at my phone right now. Lovecraft Country is a 2016 dark fantasy horror novel by Matt Ruff, exploring the conjunction between the horror fiction of writer H.P. Lovecraft and racism in the United States during the era of Jim Crow laws. I have not read this book, and I'm not going to read the plot, and I don't want to know what it's about. And for those of you that have read it or are following, please no spoilers in the comments. We're just going to talk about what was shown in the trailer, but I wanted to give that a little bit of backstory for people that maybe didn't know that it was based off of a book series. So Jonathan Majors returns home to search for his missing father. He has a tip that leads him to look in Lovecraft Country, which is marked with a Grim Reaper on a map. So this is very ominous, and it's also obviously alluding to sundown towns where Black Americans couldn't be caught after dark for fear of being lynched and tortured in the Jim Crow South. This ideology still persists now. As you guys know, I've done 2 cross-country road trips, and when traveling as a Black person, as a Black American, and especially when traveling through certain parts of the country, fear of being on the road after dark, fear of being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there's just right away this trademark sort of, at this point, Peele symbolism of racism and horror, although this is based off of a book that is already kind of making these comparisons, and while this is racial horror or race horror, is a trope that goes, all the way back to the 60s and the 70s with like Dr. Black and Mr. White or whatever the fuck, like racism staged with classic horror tropes with tense music. In this trailer, there's this extrapolation of James Brown as we're watching 1, 2, 3, 4, which is also now a signature of Jordan Peele. The music choice, we see 3 white men standing outside of a shop, basically waiting to do harm. Imagery that is scary for Black Americans, imagery really marked with racial implications and being depicted through this filter of horror, racism as horror. And then there's also the now trademark Peele sci-fi or supernatural twist when we see that Lovecraft Country is not only most likely a racist sundown town, but that there are actual creatures, aliens, monsters. In Get Out, it was body snatching rituals, and Us, it was like evil doppelgangers. Like here we see that it's some type of monster or alien that is in the, Lovecraft Country, and this is where I'm really glad that they brought J.J. Abrams on board, because I love his monsters. I loved Cloverfield. Everyone that knows me knows I love that movie. I saw it like 5 times in the theater, and the glimpses of the Lovecraft monster, the Lovecraft Country monster, or, whatever it is, gave me sort of Cloverfield monster meets Stranger Things vibe meets kaiju. It was very, very hulking, very large, menacing. We see it roar a few times. The fact that they revealed the monster this early, even in this trailer, which is very short, it's under 2 minutes, also makes me think, makes me curious about what other types of twists and turns are there going to be in this show, because they let on that there's like a monster in the woods. You know what that is from jump, so it's not considered a twist or a reveal. So I'm curious to see what they're going to throw at us within this series. But yeah, there's something in the town, an actual monster, an actual real monster, in addition to the, metaphorical monster of Jim Crow era racism, which I'm going to get to a little bit later on in this review. So now Jonathan Majors and Jurnee Smollett have to look out for these monsters and racism all while trying to find his father and kind of unravel this mystery of what happened. It looked exciting. Like, it looked exciting to me. It was getting me hyped. You know, the production value looked to be really, really great. A1, anything coming out of HBO always has high production value. The shows always look great. They're staged great quality. The hair, the makeup, the costumes, the cinematography, all of those things I really appreciated. I liked the James Brown extrapolation. Those of you that saw my Candyman trailer review, you guys know that I didn't care for the Destiny's Child Say My Name extrapolation there, but I actually liked it here. I'm definitely gonna watch. You know, it looks to be a period piece set in the 60s, and I'm excited for this to come out in August. I'm planning to do weekly reviews like how I did Watchmen, which was also sort of a race related. It turned out imagination of Watchmen, and there was a lot of allegorical, metaphorical material as well in Watchmen about racism as the foundation of this country, the United States, and going through some of the real-life history of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And since the subject matter of Watchmen was handled so well, I actually trust HBO, you know, to do these types of stories that combine sci-fi and race. You know, never would have thought I'd be saying that, considering 5 years ago this was, you know, the network that wanted to give us What If the Confederates Won, written and directed by fucking Dan and Dave from Game of Thrones. But here we are. Super excited about it. Again, love Jurnee Smollett. She's my new fave. Love Jonathan Majors. Extremely talented dude. Really happy to see them as the leads here. I think it's going to be really interesting. I feel like Jurnee is having like a glow-up moment of some kind after Underground, getting Birds of Prey, and now this. She's had a long career ever since being a child actress in Eve's Bayou, so I just feel like, you know, good for her. And speaking of Underground, I also believe that the showrunner here of Lovecraft Country is Misha Green, who did Underground, which everyone loved, so she has experience working with Jurnee Smollett before, which I feel like we're going to probably get some, I just kicked the table, sorry. I feel like we're probably going to get some really great, impactful, meaningful acting from her, because this is someone that she is comfortable with and familiar with, so I think that's going to be really, really cool. I know people loved Underground. I know people loved Spartacus. Misha Green is Black. She's a Black woman, and I'm happy that she's in charge. I feel like good for her. This is a great opportunity. I'm happy that she's in charge and not Jordan Peele, even though he is producing, even though J.J. Abrams, I believe, is also doing some production. Again, I like J.J. I have a soft spot for his work and his experience with monsters. I think would be great here. But I'm really glad that Misha Green is the creator of this, because I also want to say that I'm a little bit tired of, well, not a little bit, I'm tired of Jordan Peele's perspective, even though this is like his thing, clearly, like this is his genre, you know, like race horror or whatever. I'm glad that somebody else is going to be in charge, and I'm glad that that someone is Misha Green. I feel like Jordan Peele's perspective tends to be Blackness 101, you know, for white people, which is exhausting. I've talked about this in several videos now on Peele and other Black creators, like the who is this for conversation. Who is this for? Who is this about? You know, Black, quote unquote, Black art that's made primarily for white consumption has been an issue for forever, since the dawn of time. But, you know, performative Blackness, creating within the white gaze, all that, things that I talked about in the last episode of The Black Americans with Mar, you know, and I have lots of videos on these topics, but since the beginning I felt like Jordan Peele, even going back to Key and Peele, the perspective is for a white audience. So I hope him being just a producer and not showrunner here keeps us from getting too much of that type of perspective. I think it will, especially considering the creator is Misha Green, who did not do that type of writing or take that type of perspective on Underground at all. But, you know, I feel like having Jordan Peele on board for the horror and the race stuff is good. Having J.J. Abrams on board for the monster stuff is good. Having Misha Green on for really good, solid, quick, exciting writing. I feel like this is a good team. We got Jurnee Smollett and Jonathan Majors in there. You know, we have the HBO budget. Let's take some money from Westworld and give it to this. How about that? More money for them, less money for Dolores. But I'm excited about this team. I think this looked really interesting, and like it's going to be a really good project that I'm excited to see. I do want to say before I go, and while I was just talking about Jordan Peele and his perspective, and this perspective of performative blackness and creating black art for white consumption. I will say that I'm concerned about like race horror as a genre or whatever becoming a trope, especially because Jordan Peele is just careening through these projects. He has Candyman on the horizon. Not sure when that will come out with quarantine, but it is still slated to come out. I think he's part of Antebellum. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he is, which was supposed to be coming out with Janelle Monáe, like a slave thing. Like, looks like it's based off of Octavia Butler, possibly like time traveling back to your family's plantation in slavery times. I feel like we're seeing an influx of these type of projects, especially because of Jordan Peele's super huge success, you know, just like I've seen a lot of people talking about how now we're having an influx of these, you know, same kind of shows that feel like they have performative blackness. We have a lot of things kind of coming down the pipeline that I just think we need to be aware of, you know. I, more than anyone, you know, I love sci-fi, I love fantasy, I love speculative fiction. You know, Octavia Butler is a god of this, a genius of this, you know, the mixing of sci-fi with racism and race and even horror, this type of subject matter, but I don't want racism itself to seem like supernatural, you know, like unintentional allegories that make racism seem fantastical and fictional, right? Like, racism is real. I have an old video called, like, Racism is not Voldemort. Like, it's not fiction. It's not aliens in the woods in Lovecraft Country. It's human beings. Just, you know, like I said before, in Lovecraft Country, we have an actual monster that's obviously meant to be allegorical for like the metaphorical monster of Jim Crow, but I'm wary of reducing racism to metaphor. But it's just a note, just something to think about, have in the back of your mind. It's not even really a criticism, it's just it's an observation. So, but again, Misha Green is an awesome writer, black woman. I think she's gonna knock it out of the park. Like, I love her stuff, so again, that's not like a criticism or a super concern. I just have it in the back of my mind. But overall, I'm hyped for it. I'm excited. It's going to be 10 episodes. I don't know if this is going to be a limited run series like Watchmen and that there's only going to be one season, or if, you know, if it's successful, if we'll get more than one. Let me know if you guys know about that. But yes, I will be doing weekly reviews like we did Watchmen. I know a lot of you guys enjoyed that, and I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be cool, something cool for us to watch and talk about together. So let me know what you guys thought of the Lovecraft Country trailer that came out last week. Of course, there will be links and information and all videos mentioned or related to this topic in the description box. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time.